Hello and welcome to a live stream of some painting, and we have some models here to paint. We also have loads of people in chat, so hello to Yuli and Andre who are already posting comments. I've got all sorts of things going on, and we can discuss them through the stream today. Some things that may happen, some things that are definitely happening, some things that are interesting more than others. But today we have a whole bunch of models, as basically the same models as I had for the last few weeks. However, this time, as you can see in front of us, the fireflies have had their wash. I used my custom ink washes, so this is my mix of black and brown ink, as well as matte medium and a little bit of surfactant, and it's come out relatively consistent on all of them, even though I've mixed it several times over the course of the squads. Micro's nice. Hi, how you doing? I am still working on our thing. That was one of the things I was alluding to a second ago. Yeah, so we've got the wash on. We've already done the base coats. How many streams have I already done on these fireflies? I'm gonna eventually I'm gonna get around to having another thumbnail, but not yet. When the fireflies are done, I'll get myself a new thumbnail for my streams. That'd be good. It will realistically be. Should we do the Star Trooper next? Because I've got 18 of those things to do. Oh boy. So yeah, we've done all the base coats on the fireflies and we've done the wash, so I want to get into some highlighting. I kind of want to just do one model. I want to go through all of the steps on one model, and then use that as a comparison model for all of the others, rather than doing the green on everything and then the brown on everything and so on and so on. I want to do everything on one model just so I know how it's going to end up looking, and then once that's done, then I can go and do all of the steps on the others, because that will make a lot of sense. So I'm going to get stuck in with some green, and I've got some light green already right here. How much is left in this? I go through so much green and brown, more than any other colour. I guess green, brown and tan, the earthy tones, are what I use the most of. Although I have spent several years painting World War II models, so maybe it's just that. Helps if you don't drop the brush. Right, are we in focus? Are we in frame? Does this make sense? And can I see the model to actually paint it? Yes, all the way around. Let's see if we can start off fairly subtle. Let's see how that... Well, I'm not using that brush. Not if it's going to do that. I think there might be some paint clogged in that brush. I shall clean it at some point. Douse it in IPA. That's a bit better. Yeah, I definitely want to start off relatively subtle, because we do have a an undershot and a wash already giving us quite a lot of definition. And I don't want to destroy all of that. Just kind of add to it. Although these are wargaming models and not display models, so they don't have to be perfect. But I've come a long way with these, so I do like the idea of giving them a little something. Maybe not quite to the level I would do for a character, but certainly just a little bit of effort. Yuli says, love the green. Andre says, I wonder if green is the most used colour in the hobby. Uniforms, orcs, Nurgles, it adds up. That is a good question. I don't know. I think that the colour that I personally use the most of, in fact, I'm relatively confident I know the answer for this, is... Ooh, that's too much. Is brown. Especially a darker brown. Because I regularly go through a pot of brown. That needs a refresh. And then maybe I get a couple of other paints and then I'm off for another brown. And... it's a little bit of a running joke that I have, almost like it's a fundamental part of my style, that there will always be some amount of brown in any model. I commonly use it as like a filling in everything else colour. So I paint the uniform, I paint the skin, I paint the armour, and then I run out of ideas and everything else gets painted brown. I definitely think green is quite popular, because you also have things like there are certain Space Elf and Space Marine chapters that are that have green armor. You also have a lot of weathering that's done in greens, foliage, moss and mold. Yeah, I can see green being right up there with the most common, as one of the most common colours. I was just playing some Stalker the other day, and this guy is suddenly giving me very much Stalker vibes. Kind of military kit, gas mask, and the green uniform. I gave a med kit to this guy. He's fine, I'm sure. Yeah, see, I need to be careful of that. I don't want to go too bright all in one go. But if I thin down this green too much, it very quickly gets to the point where it separates. So I'm on a knife edge, balancing it out. Getting it thin enough that it goes on nice and subtly so that I can do an extra coat. but also thick enough that it's not just pulling and dragging. One trick if you're struggling with paint dilution. Andre said, yeah, I saw you went to the Red Forest. I actually did go to the Red Forest. I was in the Burnt Forest and the Red Forest today. Or not today, yesterday. I'm liking how that's coming out. It's taking a bit of time, but like I said, I don't mind a little bit of extra time on this this squad. I think we had this discussion recently. Although I'm not sure if this was on stream. This may have been in my local group. But I'm at the point where I have painted genuinely thousands of models in my many years of wargaming and mini painting. Even ignoring the models that I've sold, the models that I've wasn't a guess, saw it on Discord. Can you actually see where in the game I am? I know you can see when someone's playing a particular game, but how did you know I was in the Red Forest? Does it actually show that as well? I was talking about something and I can't remember what it was now. Yeah, I've painted thousands of models, literally several thousand models. And whilst I do like the exciting new model every now and again, I kind of don't want to just be painting them as fast as I possibly go, which is for bolt action. Not all of my factions, but some of my, particularly my Soviets. What was my record? 17 minutes to paint a model. It did with the timer even. So Discord is showing not only what game I'm in, but how long I've been playing and also where in the game I am. That's a bit too much. And Yuli says Discord shows what game you're playing on Steam. Yeah. See, I want to have that functionality there, but I don't want it on all the time. If we were to do some tabletop simulator, maybe that would be something I can have made quite public. But if I'm just casually playing just in my downtime. Maybe not. I only see how long someone is playing and what game. Yeah. See, that makes sense. Well, I was going to say something else. Yeah, I have seen it where people, where not just Steam games are showing up. Because there's someone I know who works with Blender, so 3D editing software, and that always shows up that they are in that program. I think it's part of the what's it called, like streamer settings in Discord, that when you're doing something that you don't want to be interrupted, you don't want the constant pings of Discord going off while you're playing a game, so Discord detects when you're playing a game, goes into streamer mode, which I like. That's a great feature. But it's detecting a lot of. I think you can tell it to this program. I want to be like do not disturb when this program's running, or for this other program, it like don't worry about it. Don't turn on streamer mode when I'm running that. It's a very lime green uniform. Got a few good games of Konflikt, nice, in the weekend. One versus the Brits, one versus the Americans. You play as the Soviets, right, Yuli? Assuming your assault engineers are your frontline unit there. So I want to highlight the green of the jetpack and the green of the helmet slightly differently. And I think the best way of doing that, Yuli says correct. Yes. I have not played against the Soviets at all. There's only one guy in our group that plays Soviets. Like, as you might expect, with a lot of their line being more limited than other factions. So I've taken a dark green and I've mixed the light green with it to let it down a bit, and I want to see, is that going to edge highlight? It will. Although, that said, I've got a couple of friends who I'm getting into the game at the moment, and they have basically we went up to the local shop for an event, and I taught them the game, and they're both pretty interested in getting stuck into it. And one of them has had a look at the Soviets and has gone, "Oh, big bears! Yeah, I like the big bears." So we'll see how that comes out. Is there a release date for the Ursus? I think there is, but I can't remember what it is. Should be soon by now. So that is the helmet and the repulsor pack highlighted not quite as strongly as the uniform. So the uniform's got this quite lime green highlight, whereas all of the metalwork has a much duller highlight. Yuli says, I think half of my local gaming store wanted to play Soviets. Wow. But after the starter got delayed, only 2 stayed, including you. Everyone else switched over to other factions, mostly Americans. Well, the only reason why I'm playing all 5 factions, right? Because of course I am. Ursus should be dropping last week of June. So it's June now. So yeah, a couple weeks. Yeah, so I'm going to play every faction just like I play every faction in Bolt Action. But I'm mainly focused on the Japanese at the moment because I was doing Japanese in Bolt Action. Kind of the timing worked out surprisingly well. Or surprisingly poorly, depending on how you want to consider it. In that I went through all 6 of the main Bolt Action factions. And I ended up doing the Japanese last. And then just as I'm like pretty happy with how my Japanese is going, Konflikt 47 comes out. So I kind of carried on with the Japanese and lots of samurai. Oh, this poor tan paint is... It's not quite what I wanted. Let's try the ochre. Both my ochre and my tan are in dire situation. In dire need of replacement. Kind of. I'm just trying this stipple because this is canvas, like the parts that I've painted tan are the canvas parts, so mag pouches, belts, knee pads, and so I'm trying to stipple pattern to try and give it the illusion of some weave, or at least make it look like it's got enough visual texture that there is weave in there. From a distance, that actually does kind of work. Yeah. Not a total disaster, maybe not what I'm after. Let's finish off the model like this. And we can think about changing that, because it's not necessarily the wrong idea, but maybe we can refine it somehow. Right, I think we can do some of the metal work. That would be a nice easy one to brighten up. So do I want a dull metal, or do I want a very bright? I think I want to go bright for this. Let's try a bright silver, see how it goes. Oh wow. Clogged paint nozzle. Clogged throat as well. It didn't quite work. Right here on the real firearm is where the trademarks and legal information is. And I was hoping to just dot in some silver and make it look like there was some text there. It didn't really work. It's a bit too small for me. I'm sure that someone can manage that, but that's outside of my ability with a brush at the moment. Certainly not this brush. I may have to step up a certain project that I have been thinking about. Because the intro of that video that I'm planning for this particular project is along the lines of, and I don't know exactly how I'm going to script it, but some models deserve a brand new brush. And then I open the new brush and then I paint the model. I think I actually have two. Oh, this. Yeah, these. Fine Red Sable Germany. I don't know what brand these actually are. I've gone hunting for them and it's just a pretty generic. But they are very cheap. I have found most of the time they are very good quality. Although brushes are brushes and brushes are inconsistent. Definitely think the bright silver was the right choice. Goes nicely with the lime green. So, with the gloves and the mask and the boots, I don't want to spend too long on these, but they're going to be that brown highlight. And I think I want to do these. I want to actually highlight them with the dark brown. Stick with me. There's a reason for this. If I knew where my brown paint was, that is. There we go. So all of these parts were already base coated with the same brown, and then had a wash over the top of that. And what the wash does is it darkens it. It especially darkens the recesses, but it darkens all of it. The way I do my washes are very sticky. And it desaturates it because there's some black in the wash as well. And so if I come back with this dark brown, which is a rich color, in comparison to that same brown underneath the wash, it's going to behave as a highlight. But because it's the same color, and the only difference there is the wash, it's actually going to be very subtle. And we'll see how this works, because it might not be quite what I want. But the idea is that this looks like it's highlighted, but the difference in value is so small that it doesn't draw attention. Like, it fits, it works, it doesn't stand out as being an unpainted part of the model, but it also doesn't stand out as being some very, very nicely painted part of the model, because these are the uninteresting bits. And there, I say that, and then I go and paint the boot laces. Oh, there's also the woodwork on the stock. I definitely want to paint the stock a slightly different way to the gloves, just to make sure they stand out from each other. I think that works. I think we are well on the way there. So, the wood. So, wood grain is not brown. Wood grain is black. Andre asked, do you use gunmetal here or something else? So the base coat for the metal was a dull silver, like a gunmetal kind of color, and then after the wash, it's just had a really bright silver. The interesting thing is you can actually make a dull silver by just mixing just normal black paint with a bright silver. So if you only have one silver paint, you want it to be a bright one, because you can always, it's so easy to dull it down that it's much more difficult to brighten it, because adding white into metallic paints just doesn't have the same effect as it does on matte paints. I'm not sure if that's looking like wood grain or if that's more looking like he's put boot polish camouflage on his gun, but you know, it's not terrible. It's not a disaster. We can go with that. We can go with that. Actually, there's also, I still haven't worked out what this is. But there's a cable on every single one of these guys. That runs up the left side of the chest and up to the throat. And there's this little like wider section on that cable, and I think it might be a microphone. So it might be that they have personal radios, but I haven't been able to definitely confirm that. I try to avoid this usually, but because of the way I'm painting today, I've ended up with a whole pile of paints right in front of me that I know that I'm using. The next one is, yeah, let's do the repulsor pack. So this time we're going to use a different paint under the wash and over the wash. So under the wash was this nice rich rose gold, and now on top I'm going to use a very bright gold. That went well. That looks good. Yeah, I really like doing the kind of copper. What did I do first? I think it may have been my Tesla Sherman that I did for my Brits. And because it's in this desert camouflage, I thought that just having a brown, like carrying on the brown and tan in the metallics would work, and gold is just yellow metal. And ever since then, all of my Tesla guns and all of my repulsor packs as well are gold. Every now and again I get distracted. I keep spotting a detail here or there. This guy's got his chin strap up over the front of his helmet because even in 1947 everyone believes that if you do up the chin strap, it will break your neck. think we are mostly done. And so we need to do the shoulder pad. So I need to look up what the colours of the shoulder pad are because I don't have that nearby. Come on, come on. Warlord Games. Come on, let me. Technology, eh? Right, let's see if I can find a view of the shoulder pads. Okay. Any of them show me a picture of the shoulder pad? No? Right. That's as good as it gets. That guy there, so I'm going to copy that. Blue down the middle. And then white on the main section and the third section, and then red on the remaining two. Okay. Oh, this white. Oh, man. Generally speaking, white paints are very chalky. They always are. But, yuck. This one is... I think it's going to be alright. Has worked out fairly well. And now for the red. Where's my red? Lovely, lovely red. Andre asks, are expensive whites as chalky as the craft ones? I am not using a craft craft paint. I'm using... I usually don't say exactly which paint I'm using, but this is a Citadel one, white ED-SKaR. But generally speaking, I think the best way to go is to get like not a mini painting paint, but an artist's paint. I have heard that's the way to go. I would probably consider that. I've got 3 tubs of white paint, and so it's kind of in that weird condition where I don't want to be going out and buying more white paint because I've got so much, but it's also all of it's bad. So going out and buying just 1 tube of much nicer stuff would be appropriate. It's not like I wouldn't use it. I'm going to use that a lot. I think what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to mash the red into the bottom and then repaint the green, because I was not able to get that red in there any other way. Go. And there is a spot of red on some white as well, so let's see how well this covers. The paint didn't even come off of my brush. Amazing. That, I think that's pretty good. So is that done? Is that one firefly now complete? He does look a little brighter in real life than on camera, but that is normal because of the camera setup that I've got. I've been messing around with the cameras over the week while I've been recording, and I have improved things slightly, but not by a massive amount. Yeah, if I get it there, right in the light of both of my lights. That's alright. I have spent an hour painting this guy. Once I've done the base and once I've done another 20 of them, this guy will look great with in the squad. So, now that I've done that, now that I'm happy with that, there was something I said that we were going to come back to and compare, see if it looks good. What was it? Yeah, so it's the different green on the repulsor pack. So it looks like it's highlighted because it is. Let me get some focus for you. Just have a look at what it looks like from further away. You've got this lime green on the uniform and this duller green on the repulsor pack, but it is highlighted. I think it does fit, and it makes the greens look different, which is what I wanted. I'm not sure if it's enough different. I could go into a yellow. If I highlight with a yellow, like add some yellow to the green, that would pull it into a different look, and I would be able to go as bright without looking the same as the uniform. Or maybe we do a specular highlight. That looks better, and it's brighter, but it still looks different from the uniform. Yeah, I think pushing the highlight here is the way to go. Just how far can we push it? I think that works. And we'll go with that. Okay. Our first Firefly is now fully finished. Other than all the bits that aren't finished, which is the base. Other than the base, he's finished. So that's where we started. Just with the wash. Yeah, just pulling all the details out. I like this hobby. That's what we were talking about. A lot of people commenting on one of my votes that I did on the YouTube community recently about some future videos that are coming and what people want to see. And a couple of people were talking along the lines of, does it really matter? Just kind of the energy, the kind of the attitude is what people are coming here for. And I appreciate that. Usually don't respond to the comments on the polls because I don't want to influence the next person to come along and vote. But I definitely noticed and I definitely appreciated the comments. So now that we've got our test model happy, I'm just going to go through, going back to the usual style of pick one color, paint all the models, batch paint. Pick the next model, picks the next color, paint all the models. We'll see how far we get. And I suspect the answer is not very, because that guy took us an hour to do. I actually did a test a while back. God, this was a long time ago. And just how much time do you save batch painting? And the answer is, well, it depends. But in my tests, I ran a couple and I saved about 10% of the time, which is not as much as you'd think. Just painting. Oh, this guy's got something on his base that I can paint. Just painting the base coats with an airbrush saved more time than batch painting. Which is why almost all of my models these days have at least one, if not two colours airbrushed on, because it's just quick. And I really enjoy I enjoy the picking out details, creating visual texture, that part of the paint job, over I'm going to paint this part of the model completely green and I'm going to paint this other part of the model completely brown. Obviously it's not that simple, but I do prefer the later parts of a paint job where everything's coming together and you're working on smaller and smaller details. There we go. One metal done. The metal on one model done. You know what I mean. No gas mask for you, so it's just the Thompson. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's a bad one to pick up. He does. Interesting. So the officer model, there is no way you're going to see this on camera. The charging handle on the officer's submachine gun is a different variant to the ones that everyone else has. And that is a deliberate choice that has been made. At some point, this guy, one of the sculptors, digital sculpting the Fireflies at Warlord Games, at some point said, I'm going to change this charging handle. For what reason? No idea. To what end? No idea. So this one, let's try. Let's try. So that small circle here, that's the charging handle. And as you can see, it's a kind of a rounded knob with hollow in the middle. And that certainly is a design that was used in various Thompsons. I recognize it. Whereas this one, still in the same place. I would have expected them to be at the back because the Thompson's an open bolt weapon, so the charging handle's at the back when it's ready to fire. This guy's empty and he's reloading, so it makes sense that his might be forwards. But everyone else's should be at the back, but they're not, they're at the front. But we have that there, that's just a little dot, and it's much smaller. So rather than being a big knob that's got a hollow in the middle, this is just a little peg, almost, of a charging handle. It's enough to get your finger around and pull it back, because that's all it's needed. It's just interesting that that's a different design. Look, these models don't have patties, so I need to find something to notice. So the bits I used for the bases on some of the Fireflies, such as this one, I forgot to put my focus back. I apologise. There we go. So this bit of brickwork, it's from one of the pieces on the terrain set that comes with the Konflikt 47 starter. I think it's also in the introductory set as well. And you get 4 sprues of it in the starter set. Yep, this is another piece from that. And I have finally gotten around to finishing that set. And by finishing, I mean I built it, I haven't painted it yet. But as that's terrain, I'm gonna use a lot of cheap craft paint, get the airbrush down on most of it. I actually have a black craft paint that's so thin and watery it basically behaves as a wash, which if you actually want to use it as a paint is really annoying because it just won't. But if you're making terrain for a war game and you want a black wash, well, it's perfect. Dear customer service, your product is so bad at what it is meant to do that I'm using it for something else and it's actually rather good at that. Thank you very much. Picking out the metal around the eyes on the visor really works. It does something, like, I'm noticing every time I paint one. It's like... Ah, hello, Roberta. I should probably paint the eyepiece after I paint the face, because I will inevitably get face face paint, skin tone paint on the eyepiece. Where's the other Roberta? There she is. So many just things and stuff. Andre says, is it the cam or is the first Roberta less blonde? Yeah, they are different at the moment. I have... in fact, I did it on stream where one of them had just a base coat and then on the other one I showed a very abbreviated version of my... of the way I paint longer hair and the way I highlight it. So one of them's had that as an undercoat, essentially. Because I did all that before the wash. So I'm going to have to do it all again. So yeah, this one, that's just a base coat of light brown with the wash. Whereas this one's the light brown and then highlighted into tan and then a wash. So it will look lighter. When they're done, they will end up looking much closer. Oh wow, that dried quickly. Accidentally got some silver on her nose. Not a problem. Haven't painted the face, so that will disappear when I do that. Has she got a ruby? And by ruby, I mean the pistol, not the jewel. YouTube rules means I can't grab my toys off of the table to compare them, but this pistol in the holster here, it has a grip scale in the same, kind of a similar way to a 1911. So metal frame with just a plate of wood on the side, one on each side, so that you can hold it more comfortably. But on the 1911, which is standard issue pistol for the Americans in World War II, but the grip panel, the grip scale, goes all the way down to the bottom of the handle of the grip. Whereas on this, there's quite clearly a metal, like you've got the grip scale just showing out the holster, but then you've got the frame actually framing the grip scale. So that is not just a standard 1911. It may be a variant of a 1911 from Konflikt 47, or it may be a different pistol. Or it might be that they just made a little box and put it in a holster and said that's just it's a holster pistol. Who cares? Who notices this stuff? Me. I notice this stuff. Andre says the orange cables look nice after the wash. They do. Who was it it was someone in chat suggested it? Was it you? Because it was definitely a good idea. When those get highlighted, and I'm going to have to be very careful about highlighting them and not getting any paint in the recesses, because they're like they've got ridges all the way down them, all the way down these pipes. So I'm going to have to be super careful about painting them. But when that's done, these are going to look great. Where are the other officers? There's one. There's two. Ah, but this guy's left-handed, so we can't see the charging handle. And the holster that he's got, the pistol in the holster that he's got, is just a cube. Does it have a slight curve to it? Oh, maybe it's a revolver. Model 19? Smith & Wesson Model 19, I think, was still in wide use in World War II. Could be wrong on that. Or maybe the Colt Model 19. No, I'm sure it's a Smith & Wesson. Revolvers aren't my area of expertise. So I painted that as if it was the gas mask. I'm not sure if it is a gas mask. Maybe it is. I'm not going to paint any of his pistol. I'm going to assume that it is a revolver, and as such, it just has a big lump of wood on the butt. Right. What about this guy? no holster. And the same charging handle. So this guy and the other officer that has the charging handle visible, no, my poor brush, they both have this design of charging handle with the little hollow in the middle. And all those two are CO cast, and all of the others are plastic, and the plastic ones have different charging handles to the CO cast ones. And I'm wondering, is it because they changed the sculpt for the officers because they're officers, or did they change it because it's CO cast? That's an interesting question, and I have absolutely no idea. I'm going to go to Warlord Games and ask them. It's like, knock, 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 knock. Hey, I want to talk to your sculptors about the most irrelevant thing in the universe. Andre says, do left-handed firearms exist with ergonomic grips reversed? So, especially when you're trained in the ways of the 19... Did the stream just go down for a moment there? Is it back? I shall continue hoping that it's back. Left-handed firearms, yes. They do exist, but usually they're not needed. The vast majority of firearms can be used in either hand without any modification, and the Thompson is one of those. But consider that this is the 1940s, and training is different in the 1940s than in... I had some buffering. Okay. There's a little blip, but it seems to have recovered. That's good. So training has changed throughout the years. So exactly how things are done are completely different. Like, I was trained in a different way to how these guys are fictional, but were they real, they would have been trained, and they'll be trained in a different way to how I was trained, because I was trained in it depends which bit you're talking about, but yeah, early 2000s, so 60 years later. And oh yeah, just to mention, I never served, just in case getting the wrong idea about that. But I have a lot of training in various things. Lots of dangerous things. Lots of fun things. So long as you can reach all of the controls, so long as you can aim down the sights, and so long as when the weapon ejects spent brass, depending if it's an automatic, it's going to chuck out a spent shell casing. As long as that doesn't hit you on the way out, there's no real need for you to have any adjustment or modification to like the way that the gun is. On that last point, the shell ejection, this is why the British SA-80 and a lot of other bullpups have a running joke about left-handed shooters, because the action is right here in your shoulder. If you're holding it right-handed, it spits brass away from you. But if you hold it if you hold a right-handed bullpup weapon left-handed and fire it, the charging handle smacks you in the teeth and it throws spent brass in your face. So in that case, you would need a left-handed version that possibly has some mechanism to change where the casings come out. So the Steyr-AUG, for example, it has an ejection port on each side, and you just need to take out the bolt, switch some parts over and put it back in. It takes about 5 minutes from what I understand, and it would eject out the other side. So if you're left-handed, you just adjust that, put it back together, and you can use it normally. You shoulder it left-handed, it spits out the left, everyone else has it Set up the other way, they hold it right-handed, it spits out of the right. You mentioned ergonomic grips. Yeah. So a lot of the time, ergonomic grips, most of the time, ergonomic grips don't exist. You just have a grip-shaped lump of plastic sticking out the bottom of the gun. But where you do have ergonomic grips, they're often very subtle, and they just have the like finger grooves on the front, or like a swell on the back. They don't have anything on the sides necessarily. However, and so that can be used by a left or right-handed person. However, when you do get into really in-depth ergonomic grips, and you'll see this on like target pistols more than military firearms, but they will be shaped specifically so that the side of your palm, there's a scallop of wood that fits into the side of your palm. There's a rest for where your thumb will go, all of these kind of things, and those you will need a different version for a left and right hand, because you will not have a good time if you try and hold that in the wrong hand. I actually had the 6-hour P229. I had trouble with shooting that left-handed. And that's because a lot of the controls are on this thumb rest on the left-hand side. So a right-handed shooter will put their thumb on top of them. So you've got the slide lock and the saved, or the decocker and the slide lock there. And kind of here on your thumb. And so when you go to the left hand, your thumb is now on the flat side of the frame, which is fine. But your trigger finger, like this part here of your trigger finger, is trying to get up underneath this wedge of plastic that's sticking out the side of the frame. And I found that uncomfortable. However, a friend of mine who is left-handed also shot that same pistol, and they had no trouble with it, shooting it left-handed. So, yeah, it depends. Everything about it depends. Depends how the grip was designed, but it also depends on personal preference, because some people will struggle with something that others will find absolutely normal. Yuli says, that's funny. I have a very similar question. Can you think of any Warlord bolt-action sprue other than the British-Canadian winter sprue that holds a pistol in the left hand? I have not paid attention to which hand that pistols are being held in. Does the British sprue have a left-handed pistol? I'm surprised at that, because the British were famously, and still are very famously, anti-left-handedness, which is like very, very 1800s of them. So I do not know the answer to that question, because that's not something I have paid attention to. You know what though? Back in the day, back in the good old days, in the long, long forgotten past, I used to play 40k and I used to play the Orcs. And the Orc sprue, each sprue had 4 Orcs on it. And it had 4 sets of the slugger arms, which is the pistol and then the axe, and 4 sets of the shooter arm, which is a 2-handed weapon like a submachine gun. And on each sprue, there were 3 left hand and 1 right hand for each of those two types of weapon. So you could take the left-handed pistol and one of the right-handed pistols and have someone dual wielding, or you can have 2 axes. Great fun. So, Yuli, if you're asking because you need a left hand holding a grip, a weapon's grip, for a kit bash. Hands are always something that, especially left hands, are always something that I argue about. Because I always run out of left hands before I run out of right hands. Out of context, that is a very, very strange sentence to say. But I'm talking about model making. Yeah, painting the metal of the visor really works. Really like that. Every sprue except for them, the British Canadian I've looked at, has right-handed pistols. I'm not surprised. Generally speaking, Warlord games, like almost all their models are right-handed anyway. Yuli's keeping track of all of the out-of-context rubbish that I say. There's a lot of stuff that makes perfect sense when you know you're talking about model painting or kit bashing or something like that. I'm surprised that YouTube hasn't like demoned some of my videos for like, oh yeah, I cut this model at the wrist, or I severed the model at the head or the neck or something like that. It's just a conversion, but out of context, that sounds pretty violent. Andre says, was playing with Crimson Desert today. I found a club with a beehive attached. A club? Club as in a group of people that play the game, or a club as in a lump of wood with a beehive attached? Because right now I'm thinking of you're going to a gaming club, and at the back of the gaming club is like this little beehive area, and someone walks in the big white suit with the thing, and they're feeding everyone honey. I think what you actually meant was the weapon club with a beehive on the club. That sounds Moonstone. That sounds Moonstone, that does. That's just silly and whimsical. I like it. Weapon, yig. Hey, don't you complain. You can't complain because you didn't have to sit through what Yuli had to sit through recently with me trying to spell a word that I've only ever seen written down once, and also it's in a language that I don't speak. That was funny. But it's funny for me. So now the question is, will we get through all of the metalwork by the end of the stream? I hope so. Where's the... I'm going to do a flamethrower next. Firefly's looking good. Did you see the one we finished? I did a test model, so that's how they're all going to look at the end. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to have to decide what order I'm going to do the rest of the stuff in. It might be brown, green. No, it's going to be brown, then the flag, then the green. Maybe? Cool. See you in a bit, Andre. Played against the new platoon structure this weekend, and it was spicy. Oh, the Firefly platoon, yeah. In capable hands, Fireflies are some of the best infantry in Conflict. I think... yeah, I don't like the feels bad of the Fireflies. I think that's the only thing that's a problem. But that's with any jump unit. So even the Nachtjäger and the linebacker as well. But if you deploy Fireflies normally and just use them on the table, they're great, yeah. I haven't actually played a game with as the Fireflies. I played against the Americans a couple of times now. Keep drifting. It's always been a problem. Kind of looking forward to the Bonodori platoon for the Japanese. I don't really like the ghosts, so I'm probably not going to stress too hard about it. But I'll play it a couple times. I definitely like the idea of a close combat ghost attack squad, but given how Bonodori works, I just can't see them being particularly effective. I don't know what it is about the rims of the visors, that they're raised up just enough that they catch the brush quite nicely. Like it's not that much effort to paint the silver on the rim of the goggles. Interesting point about the BAR. That lump there is the locking surface of the bolt. And I've seen like an American civilian who got one of these, converted it to semi-auto, and then ground down the top so that they could attach a scope to it, which completely broke the gun, because that is where the bolt actually locks into place when it's firing. I did not see this personally. Yuli said, still won, but it was one of the hardest matches I played in terms of trying to anticipate their attack direction. I don't know if that army needs 2-man flamethrower teams with flight and better flamers. Yeah, I'm pretty happy just with the flamethrower squad with a flamethrower. Just a Firefly squad with a normal flamethrower are really good. Because I have these models here, the guys I was teaching the game to recently, one of them was using Fireflies, and I gave them 2 squads of 6 and with a flamethrower in each, and they were very, very good. Because you'd jump in, you'd give them the beans with the flamethrower and 4 Thompsons, and then you'd regroup and hell away. And if you ran out of fuel, you've still got 4 Thompsons and a BAR. So you can, the next turn, you just jump in and gat them up at point blank with the Thompsons, which is still really effective. With the specialist platoons, so currently we've only got the Tortinotta and the Firefly platoons, and we're getting the Bonodai specialist platoon as well soon. Do they replace your assault platoon? And by that I mean, do you get to... I forgot it is mask. Like, do you get to take the Firefly platoon and then an assault platoon? Sorry, and then an armored platoon? Or do you have to go assault platoon first and then that unlocks a Firefly platoon? It feels really weird picking up one of these models because you're just holding it by this thin wall rather than like some legs. Usually you hold it by some legs and that feels a certain way. And then I pick up this and it's just this thin wall. It feels very strange. Where's the other one? There's the other one. Yeah, he's the same. I said I was going to do a flamethrower and I still haven't, so let's do a flamethrower. As we're talking about Firefly flamethrowers. This should be relatively easy. There you go, that's done. I joke, but that is actually a good way of painting the flamethrowers, just to run a rough highlight over the top and let it catch the shape. I know I'm going to get this the wrong way around. I think I know the right way around, but I might get this wrong. Flamethrowers, you have the tanks, you have a propellant tank, you have a fuel tank, and then you have this part here that the soldier is holding. And that has different names in different militaries during World War II. Because they've all kind of come up with the concepts from scratch separately. And I think the Americans refer to this as the projector, and the British refer to it as a wand. That does look good. Was that both of them? It was. So that's both the BARs, both the flamethrowers, and I've done all of the officers as well. And we're coming up to 9 o'clock. It's the end of the stream. And I've got a few models left. So what I'll do is I will finish off the metal on these. We will call it a success that I did actually manage to finish off all the metalwork, which is nice. So not only did we get a test model, we also got one step on everyone done. And possibly that might mean that if I get lucky, I can actually do 2 steps per stream, and we should be relatively quickly done with the Fireflies now. And we'll move on to, I don't know, maybe we'll paint some vehicles, maybe we'll paint some Soul Troop, and there's so many options. Maybe we'll paint what comes in my mystery box, because I actually have the, I have bought the, 47. Konflikt 47. I have painted the Konflikt. I have bought the Konflikt 47. You know what I mean. You don't know what I mean. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I have bought the Konflikt 47 mystery bundle box, so that's going to be here next month. So roughly when we finish the Fireflies. Right, so as we're coming close to the end of the stream, as always, ask your questions in the chat box so that I can answer them just before we end the stream. Next week's stream will be Monday, just the same as normal, I think. And my video for this week, I actually have a couple that are well underway. Rather than just having a couple that are barely started and I need to pick one and get it done. I've actually got a bit of work done recently. So I've got a few videos that are in that final editing step. And the one I think I'm going to go with is a particular model that I made for my Shibito. And if you like my kit bashes, you will definitely like what I did with that one, because that is... Every time I take it to a game, people are like, oh, that doesn't make sense. It's a nice model, but it doesn't work. How can it possibly work like that? And I'm just like, no, it's brilliant, it's genius. Stop complaining. Yuli's lagging behind on the stream, that's fine. Dude, you got to do an unboxing video. What are you hoping to get? I am not doing an unboxing video for for the mystery box. I am potentially, maybe, if all goes well, I might be doing 3. I might be unboxing 3 of them. I only get to keep 1 because I only paid for 1, but the other 2 I can compare. We'll see what we get for different factions, and if we get 2 of the same faction, it'd be nice to see if Warlord is shipping out the same thing for everyone, or if they're like putting in different variants of stuff for different people. But yeah, I may well be having 3 3 of them in my house at the same time so that I can compare them. That would be cool. Oh, and what am I hoping to get? Honestly, so long as it isn't Style Trooper or Fireflies, I'll be happy. If I get the Americans, I've already sold off both Firefly and Linebackers, so I don't want more of them. But if I get anything else for the Americans, I'll be kind of happy. For the Axis, I've got Totem Core and Style Trooper coming out my ears. Don't need any more of them, but if I get anything else for the Axis, I would be quite happy. Especially if there's a second Vogelspinner, because I actually do want to run a double Vogelspinner. And for every other faction, pretty much anything I'll be happy with. I'm wondering for the Japanese, because I do have more Japanese than anything else. Yeah. So I don't necessarily want a lot of Japanese, but because I play Japanese, it would definitely be worth doing. If I get the new Ghosts, dead chuffed about that. I'd love some plastic Ghosts. If I get some Assault Frames, love that. If I get a lot of the other things for the Japanese, still worth having. And then for the British and the Soviets, I want lots of things from both of those factions, so there's almost nothing that I wouldn't want from either of those factions. I've got a lot of the metal Daughters of the Motherland, so more of those. I wouldn't complain, but it's not what I really want. But if I got the Ursus, the Molot, what the Ice Boy is called, Moraz Ghul, the Moraz Ghul, absolutely, I would love all of those. If I got the British and I got Mark 1 automatons, Mark 2 automatons, Bertie, Galahad, even Galahads, so I would be happy with them. So British and Soviet, anything, I would love it all. Japanese, I'm probably going to love most of it, although some of it might be duplicates of what I've already got. It's not really an issue. And then Americans and Axis, I don't want Fireflies or Stahltruppen or Totem Corps or Linebacker. Anything else will be happy. I'll be happy with. It's not as warm as it has been, but it is still warm. Yuli says, if you get Soviets, you'll probably get the new Walker and Ursus. Yeah, that does seem to be... from what certain other people have said, certain other people who have the ear of Warlord Games, not the other way around. They have the leaks. And they have said that the mystery boxes will likely have some of the new stuff in them, including the stuff that's on pre-order. So it might be things like Ursus and the automatons and the other plastic kits. Probably not stuff that hasn't been announced yet, because they need it in hand to be able to do it. Are you hoping for the old Moraz Ghul and not the new ones? I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I actually really do like the new ones. The old ones, what were they called? They were called something different back then, weren't they? Were they the Siberian Terror Troops, or were they something else? But the old models are really creepy. Like, they look like the picture that comes along with the Russian sleep experiment creepypasta from back in the day. So that's yuck. But also, that's cool. I do like them. But the new models are really nice, and I would definitely like some of the new ones. Andre says, just in time to say goodbye. Yeah, we're just wrapping up. If you have any questions, send them in, and then we'll close off the stream. I managed to get all of the steel metalwork done. So what we'll probably do next stream is gold, shoulder pad, brown on the leather, kind of boots and belts and stuff, and then we'll finish off doing all of the green, because the green will take a long time. Like, that took, I didn't time each step exactly, but this guy, the green on this guy, took more time than the rest of it. So that's gonna take the longest. Yeah, we're all good. Yudi says, the old ones are the Moraz Ghul, and they're definitely from the Russian sleep experiment. Not a fan. Much prefer the new lore and new design. I like both. I genuinely like both. The old ones are just that. The old ones are very human shapes. Oh, no. I don't think I'm thinking of the Moraz Ghul. I think I'm thinking of the Nachtalben. The old models of the Nachtalben. Because those are the ones from the Russian sleep experiment, and those are creepy and nasty. But also, they are human shapes. Like, also, all of the other, like the Moraz Ghul and a lot of the other ones, and the new Nachtalben, these guys, they're sort of humanoid, but they're not exactly human shaped. They've got this very, very kind of mutated, muscly kind of frame, whereas the old Moraz Ghul, whichever model it is, I think it's the Moraz Ghul, they just look like humans with horrible faces, and that makes them so much scarier. And I just really like them for that. Honestly, if I got the old ones or the new ones or both, I'd be happy, because I like them both in different ways. Andre says, no energy effects on the repulsors. No. So for the British and the Americans, I'm painting all of the Rift stuff in copper, like steampunk kind of thing. So I'm not doing a glow effect on any of these. I am doing glow effect on some of the other stuff, but not the Brits and the Americans. A lot of my ghosts for the Japanese will be getting some amount of glow effect. Yuli says, yeah, the new and old Dact album both look awesome. Leaning towards the new ones, but both look great. I'm kind of looking forward to a plastic kit. Because once we get a plastic kit of these, like if you look at the resin Ghost Attack Squad from the Japanese, and then you look at the plastic Ghost Attack Squad that have just been released, they're the same poses. Like the legs are in the same poses. Clearly they're the same set of legs. But they've got all of the modularity from being a plastic kit and having the ability to swap arms and heads and stuff. So they're much more customizable. And these guys are going to be the same, I hope. So once these guys get the ability to be kind of customized in the same way, they're going to be great. Maybe I should do these when I finish the Firefly. Because I've only got 6 of them. And I converted one because the resin ones all come with the Sturmgewehr, the double barrel gun. And so I've given some of them submachine guns. Also, I gave this guy a submachine gun. Because if they're going to have small arms, they may as well be cheap. I kind of want to give them the Schwerlight MP40, because that gives them a pen value at least. Oh yeah, this guy's got MG42. Or isn't this this is an MG44, isn't it? Because they made a new version in Konflikt 47. Now a tricky question for you. New or old Slammer Samuels? Well, I can easily answer that question. I've no idea. I haven't paid attention to Slammer Samuels. He's a fancy yank. The new one kind of looks cool. But I remember the old one kind of being cool. But I haven't actually compared them, so I do not know the answer. I'm honestly not really fussed about characters generally. Like having one in an army just for the theme, kind of cool. But yeah, the idea of just dolling up a force with 3 or 4 characters and just being ridiculously strong. I've played games where that is how things go, and it just gets a bit silly. I would prefer that not happen. That said, I do have Roberta. Do I have any other characters? I think Roberta's the only named character I have. I'm thinking about getting Gregory, the Bear Man, because that's a pretty tough looking model. Yuli says, I think they're both really good sculpts, leaning to the old. Oh, this would be Slammer Samuels. With all of that said, you're right about characters. So the thing with Konflikt 47 is it's doing a lot of things that I like. Like, it is a fun game that I do enjoy. But then it does some things that I don't like. And I'm like, okay, I'll put up with the things I don't like because I do still like the game. And then when I start playing, it's like, these bits actually do work. They're not... They've been implemented better than I was expecting. Or better than other games that use similar mechanics. And so even though it's like, oh yeah, I don't like this game mechanic that's now in Conflikt 47, it's working and it is actually fun to play, and so I don't mind it so much anymore. And that's happened a lot. And I'm hoping that will happen with characters, in that when I start to play against characters, when I start to play with characters, they are fun and thematic, but they're not like game breaking, which would just not be fun. Yuli says, much prefer nameless platoon commanders because that's me. I'm not Samuels or Drugov Berver. At worst, I'm in a Shurker squad preparing to charge Shrek. You should get the Bad Squiddo HQ team with the Commissar, because I've got that. I'll name that Yuli. I'm not going to start naming my models, not like that. Who is it that does... It's Eons of Battle, isn't it? That if you spend a certain amount on his Patreon, he'll name one of his Space Marines after you. Thankfully, I don't have a Patreon. What I do have, and I should mention this more often, what I do have is a donation link in the description box. And I said when I first set that up that I wasn't going to get a Patreon because you need a certain minimum number of people to make it worthwhile having a Patreon. And that's a fairly low number. But I'm just a hobbyist. I'm not like a professional, professional YouTuber, professional content creator. And so I can't expect people to be... Oh, Mordian does that as well. Okay. It was definitely Eons of Battle that I was thinking of. So if Mordian does the same thing or something similar. I was saying something. I can't remember what it was. It's probably not important. I probably should just end the stream. Yeah, Patreon. So if I have a donation link in the description box, just throw it out as a one-off payment. If people aren't willing to do that, then they're definitely not going to be willing to set up a Patreon account and send stuff there. And so I set up that donation link, and I've not got much out of it. And so I'm not going to bother with a Patreon because it's not really worth my time. And that's fine because, like I said, this is not my job. This is my hobby. And I do want to keep it as my hobby, even though it is also me putting it out online in this kind of parasocial kind of way. But that's just how life is at the moment. Right, I've halfway packed away all of my stuff now while we've been chatting, so I will now end the stream. I have... Stream next week will be on Monday. And then after that... I'm dropping stuff everywhere. Don't hate the concept, just saying it does that with guardsmen and tanks. Alright, yeah. Yuli says you'll get there with the Patreon and everything else. Yuli, I've been making YouTube videos for longer than Google has owned YouTube. If I was going to become rich and famous, it would have happened a long time ago. YouTube was bought by Google in 2009. My first video went up on YouTube in 2008. I've been here a long time. Yeah, so forget all that. Stream next week on Monday, which will be the Fireflies. My video for next week will be my Shibito and one particular conversion I did, which I'm really happy with, even though other people don't seem to like it. You can have your opinion when that video comes out. I need to actually do some photography of that, but for now, with my Fireflies well on the way to being done, although there's still a couple more streams out of them, I'm ED-SKaR, always will be, and thank you very much for watching.